If you're a business owner, the Boris Johnson recovery is going to make you richer, and I'll tell you for why in this video. Hey, I'm James Sinclair, and right now I'm at home in isolation and I'm watching the news very closely, more than ever before, because it's imperative that we know all the facts for preparing our business to reopen when all this is over. Whenever is it going to be over? Well, let's go for a walk. If Boris Johnson had died, the markets would have reacted quite heavily to that, and there would have been a demand for another general election. Even though the Conservatives have a huge majority, Labour would have been out saying, we can't have an unelected Prime Minister, vis-a-vis what happened to Theresa May when David Cameron resigned. She just got in and she was there for months, and everyone was saying this is not good enough. How can we have a Prime Minister that hasn't been elected? Even though our party politics work on the amount of MPs that the party gets to get into power, no one cares about that. It's the headline of an unelected Prime Minister. And that's the last thing that we need in an economic recovery, which will come, ladies and gents. How that economic recovery looks, we'll discuss in the studio right now.
So why don't you grab yourself a cup of tea and I'll discuss the exact reasons why I think this Boris Johnson recovery is going to be good for your business. I think it's all going to make us a lot richer. And in these times of economic downturns, we want to know those things. You might want to get yourself a biscuit as well. You see, the stability of a government in our country is really important. In America, in November, there's going to be a new presidential election race, and there's loads of countries in the European Union that just have enough power to keep them in government, and there'll be other elections there as well. In the UK, we don't have to worry about that for 5 big fat years. So that's good if you're planning to invest or get outside investment into this country. Investors and entrepreneurs and business owners want to know that there's going to be stability before they sign on that dotted line for some big investment planning. So you might be thinking, well, James, what's your predictions of what this economic recovery looks like? Well, have no fear, sailor. I'm going to let you know. So gang, I read a lot, and I've read a lot of the business pages in all the newspapers, Financial Times, Telegraph, The Times, and I think the general consensus is the recovery is going to look like one of these 3 options. Way number 1 is this. We're going to have a W recovery where we're going to go down and then we're going to go up. And this is the process we're in right now as we're going down like this. Then everything's going to go back to normal and then we're going to go like this. And I think what we're going to see at the top here is, hang on a sec, credit isn't as easy to get hold of. Consumer confidence isn't as confident as we thought. So we'll go back down because it's going to really happen really quick. And then we'll go back up and then normal times will come. I don't think that's going to happen. I think this is going to happen. I think we're going to have a situation that looks like this. The V or the U-shape recovery. So we're plummeting right now, we're going down at the bottom, then as soon as everything goes back to normal, we're going to go up. Or it's going to be the U. And in fact, I favour this one, the U-shape recovery. Let's go into this right now. So let's have a look at the U-shaped recovery. Something that looks a little bit like this. Now, basically, we're going right down right now. So we're in this line that's flattening down here. What we want to know is how long that U bit, the bit in the red box, is going to last. So I think what's going to make a big difference is one of these, ladies and gents, a vaccine. I don't know if that's 2 C's. Once we've got a vaccine, I think there's going to be a lot more confidence in the market and we'll understand what's going to happen. I think there's a big problem ahead that people are not thinking about though, and this is the big one. Banks. Now, even though we've got our Chancellor of the Exchequer, Rishi Sunak, saying that the banks are going to lend money to businesses in their so-called CBILS loan, that's the Coronavirus Business Interruption Loan Scheme for those of you that were interested, it's just not really materialising. 300,000 SME businesses, what's an SME business? It's a business that turns up to 45 million, so that's most businesses, have applied for a CBILS loan, but only 5,000 of them have managed to get their grubby hands on this money. For our economic recovery to happen, the flow of credit has got to go to businesses at speed. And once it goes to businesses at speed, they can invest, they can employ more people, they can buy businesses, build businesses, grow businesses, scale businesses. But right now, businesses are in a situation where there is literally 0, that's the number, a big fat round one, of money coming into their businesses. So they're going to need the government to give them the money to be able to start up and retrade. Imagine if you're a restaurant and you own 100 restaurants and you need to restock all of your restaurants because they've been closed for 6 months. You might need £2-3 million worth of cash to get all the booze in there, to get all the food in there, to pay your staff to come in a week, to reset the bloody thing out before you open again. Remember, businesses have never had to do anything like this before. It's all brand spanking new. The great news is, though, the banks have got more money than they've ever had before. Let me tell you exactly how much money the banks are sitting on in the UK right now. That number looks like this: £4.2 trillion. They've never had more money than they've got right now. They need to be lending this money and getting it out to the people as super duper fast as they can. And for the first time in a long time, they're allowed to do that. What do I mean? Well, in 2008 and 2009, in the credit crunch, the banks had no money. It was called the credit crunch. So they had to walk up to the then Chancellor of the time. His name was Alistair Darling, and big black eyebrows like two caterpillars looking to mate on the top of his head. I always thought that was quite strange. In fact, if you're wondering about that, here's a picture of him now. And he had the whitest hair, the whitest of whitest hair. And he said, well, we'll lend you the money, but the way we're going to lend you the money via the taxpayer is we're going to make sure that we put fiscal policies on you. And he did this with his chums at the Bank of England. And together they said, you've got to shore up your balance sheets. That's the amount of money that banks sit on. He said that you're going to have to make sure for every pound you lend, for example, that you've got £3 in the bank. And that's why they've got this big fat amount right now, because of those rules. What's happened now, the Bank of England and the government have started printing money and they're going to put cash into the economy, but they've also said to the banks, you can loosen up your fiscal policy. So, for example, rather than keeping £3 on their balance sheet, they might now need to only keep £1 for every £1 they lend. Well, that's good news for businesses, or so it should be, because they'll be able to get this cash and then it will flow into the economy and we should see a boom. At least that's what I'm hoping. And as long as the banks don't do what's happening right now, which I'm seeing is this tightening of not lending the money. Now, the government have said to them, you can go and lend this money, but they've actually said, well, hang on a sec, these businesses are not trading. Are we sure we're going to get this money back? Are they actually good businesses? For these number of reasons, the banks are not actually lending this money as fast and as freely and as easily as the government want them to do. And part of me thinks, well, yeah, I think they're right. You know, it's still their money, even though the government are saying that we're going to back 80% of it. But if they lose that 20%, you know, if they go and lend, I don't know, 1 trillion, and then 1 trillion of loans then get knocked about, that's still 200 billion that the banks have lost. And here's the other thing. Are they thinking that, are the government going to go to them and say, oh yes, here's the money that you said you would secure for us, just have it because all these businesses have gone wrong? I bet someone smart's thinking, well, actually, hello, Mr. Bank Manager, hello, Mr. Government. Mr. Government saying to the bank manager that lent the money, did you do the right due diligence before you lent them that to make sure that you've got that 80% secured? And then there'll be this horse race, and will the banks get their money back? Yeah, because that's a big problem for them. So this all comes back round to my Boris Johnson recovering situation. Because could you imagine it if he had died and then we needed a new Prime Minister? The banks would have then tightened up their cash flow lending even more, and we'd be in a position where it would take even longer to recover, because we would have had to have a general election, or we would have had to find out who the next Prime Minister is. We would have had a leadership race. Then the opposition would be saying, hey, hang on a sec, we've got an unelected Prime Minister in Downing Street, vis-a-vis what happened to Theresa May and David Cameron. No one really liked it that Theresa May on the first round was in Downing Street just because David Cameron resigned. It's not great for headlines. People don't like unelected Prime Ministers, even though our party political system in the UK works on the number of MPs a party has to gain power. They just don't like having a Prime Minister sitting in Downing Street that hasn't been elected by the people. We don't have to worry about that, because for these next 5 years, we've got a majority government that has a decent control over the banks. Well, the banks own 62% of RBS. RBS own NatWest, Coutts, Lombard, and they also own a big chunk of Lloyds TSB as well. And they're the regulators and they can make laws. And in fact, the government have got more power than they've ever had before, because they put these emergency powers going through on coronavirus just a few weeks ago, which means that they can now make decisions in cabinet without getting full permission from MPs. Parliament isn't even sitting. So for these number of reasons, I think the UK is in a best place to recover from this and be a great place to invest and grow a business. I'm super excited about it. This is a great country. There's brilliant entrepreneurs, there's brilliant talent, brilliant financial system, brilliant legal system. We've got London, Manchester, Birmingham, Glasgow, Edinburgh, great cities with great people, great companies and great talent. So if you're an entrepreneur and a business owner right now, you should be really excited that you live in the UK and not other countries that got elections and campaigns coming up. We've got some elements of stability in what seems a very unstable time. For that reason, I'm very excited about it. Watch this video here because I've got some great tips on how you can grow your business and work out what to do throughout coronavirus. And make sure you subscribe to the channel here. Share it, let people know, because I'm very excited about the excitement of this great country. See ya. Bye-bye.